Previously on Eurovision Song Contest, the UK and Spain somehow do not send in Pedestal in 11:11. Ireland and Sweden's rivalry flares up after nearly 3 decades of lull. And a non-binary person has won the contest for the first time, and in record time too. What's gonna happen this year? I wish you hadn't asked.
Hello, this is JERealize. Thank you for flying with us today.
If you don't know me, I've been making videos talking about Eurovision and the American Song Contest for a while, and this is my 4th year doing this. However, this year marks the 10th anniversary of when I first paid attention to Eurovision and started watching the contest. I meant to make something to make it a little more about that, but my channel is currently going through an overhaul, and for reasons I may touch up on later in the series. But for now, it's cool. We're getting Eurovision 2025, and I can watch it and finally get something new to gnaw on after, waiting a year. Speaking of which, how was last year? Oh, last year we had the show in Malmö, where, admittedly, a lot of talent came onto that stage and competed against each other. Although the shows around it could be better. The whole ABBA thing was a letdown, even though they had been leading us on with that. There are quite a few extra neat points here and there with the interval acts, but overall the show felt kind of worryingly basic. The stage felt kind of basic. The materials for promoting the contest felt kind of basic. It just doesn't really inspire confidence. But hey, Nemo won with a legendary win, and I kind of sort of won out of spite after losing a few countries I really wanted to advance to the grand final. Although in some cases it was understandable why they didn't advance. It just sucks. But now we're moving on to Switzerland in 2025. First things first, where is the contest being held? I don't know, Geneva, Zurich, Bern, maybe Lausanne? No, and no. Well, where? How about Basel? Wait, what? What the heck is Basel? Yeah, Basel is this city on very north part of Switzerland, right near the French and German borders. Okay, well, I don't need to look up what Netta Barzilai would have guessed. She would have missed that one as well. But dang, that one caught me well off guard, didn't it? What about the number of countries that are competing? Now, be careful, that is whataboutism, but I'll let you know after a little bit on me getting the CD. Which was tough, because I pre-ordered the CD. I live in the United States, so I have to get the CD imported. But the day the disc was released, May the 2nd, was the day the de minimis exemption for imports was repealed. Meaning, boom, extra tariff. Just like that. That made shipping quite complicated, and in fact for a whole week I hadn't heard anything about whether I'll get the dagnam album over here. It wasn't until the Saturday before Eurovision week came about where I was told, hey, your disc is going to be arriving. The earliest you can expect is May the 18th. Let me tell you, the grand final this year is on May the 17th, which means not only would I not get the disc ahead of the first semifinal, I will not get the disc until after the show ends. And I don't necessarily have the privilege of European contacts who will buy the disc and ship it over to me. But I did receive a consolation prize, or as Robin Bankston would say, a constellation prize. Instead of receiving the physical album anytime soon, I got it digitally through the Marketplace's music app. Okay, that's not so bad. It'll tide me over for a while until I can get my hands on the official album. But the songs weren't grouped into one album, which made it really hard for me to get each song one by one, put it in a playlist so I can shuffle later without getting spoiled. Yeah, that's not fun. Again, though, because I am listening to the songs in some way, shape, or form before the first semifinal, I won't be doing secrecy levels mostly. I do want to do some secrecy level stuff later on with the acts that did get spoiled to me before I even went back into the Eurovision well. Let's talk about how many entries. I had said before that if attendance was pretty low, let's say 37, and consistently low, you may get some countries who look at that and go, hey, the contest is not so packed. Maybe we have a shot to make it to the final if we enter for next year's contest? Okay. Good hypothesis. I can't call it a theory because it's technically not a theory. But how many countries do we have? 37 this time? Do we have 37 again? What? Still 37? Oh my goodness sake. Okay. We need to talk about that later on in the series. Not now. We still have a lot of stuff to go through. Like, for example, the theme of this year's contest. The theme of this year's contest is United by Music. This is the third year in which they have been doing this United by Music shtick, and it's making me tired. Like, one of the things that's kind of bumming me out is just the lack of authenticity these recent contests have had. I plan to talk about that later, but, like, really? Couldn't you have thought of any slogan to make yourself identifiable compared to your other compatriot contests? No? Like last year, I don't even know what I would have come up with, but like one of the songs names, We Will Rave, really captured the essence. A lot of dance numbers in that contest. But this year, they had it on a silver platter. It didn't need to be called United by Music because they could have called it Welcome Home. Their slogan could have been Welcome Home. They have said multiple times the phrase Welcome Home, as it indicates that the contest is coming back to Switzerland after Switzerland hosted the very first Eurovision Song Contest. It was right there. And it's not like Switzerland had hosted a contest before where they had the slogan things. I mean, the last contest was held in 1989, was it not? The contest didn't have that system before. It just seems like such a missed opportunity to show some level of creativity that gets people gnawing on the bones rather than just it's another annual contest. But let's save some meat for later. Let's go into the contest now. We start off the contest with this little waft coming into Earth as Earth is evolving out of the primordialness of the early times all the way through our timeline to close to the modern day, where we start to get Eurovision heart molecules synthesized in the water. Okay. And then bubble up and fly out to the modern location of the contest. I mean, that's not the worst idea I heard for the first semifinal. I mean, the first semifinal introduction for 2022 with the whole inventor thing was kind of goofy. I mean, it was creative, but it was kind of goofy. Then we get this intro section, we get dancers, we get yodelers, and then we get this little rendition of The Code by Nemo, the song that won last year. And then finally, we get introduced to our hosts. This year we have Hazel Brugger and Sandra Stuger, which is kind of neat, seeing new faces, which, no, calm down. Anyway, Sandra apparently had been in the contest before. Meanwhile, Hazel had to learn English for this contest, which is kind of hilarious, come to think of it. Like, these two are certain to be a riot, and especially a nice needed break from Pietrmede, foreshadowing. But let's look at the stage a little bit. What do we have here? Another generic looking stage. Like, it's not a bad stage on its own. You got, you know, your LED background, you got these little light fixtures coming down which you can form like wings or elevated platforms or something. But the most striking thing about this stage is you got that rectangular arch at the end of the runway, which kind of forms this illusion of, look ma, I'm on TV! Yeah, it kind of comes off as this tracking point for an imaginary television for the audience to see. Oh, look, you got these little neat little angles. Oh my goodness sake. I don't know what it is with the graphic detail. Just the font on a basic color background. I noticed these on the thumbnails for the YouTube videos before the shows aired, and I'm going, dang, I don't have a lot of confidence. But let's just calm down. The stage itself feels as if it's a cross of Sweden's past two stages in 2016 and 2024. Though, when it comes to stuff being performed on there, I wouldn't say it's as bad as either of those Swedish stages. Like, there is a sense of cohesiveness that can make it kind of easier to enjoy for the performers to get along better with the stage. It's not terrible. Just the part at the end with the rectangular arch just extends a little too far out into the audience for my comfort. Okay, let's move on. We got a show with 15 acts. And let's talk about the postcards a brief bit. You know, each person who is being represented this year goes over to a mailbox, opens up, and gets this nice postcard from Vienna. Austria. Switzerland. You want to know something? This is basically what Austria did in 2015. The people receive a package, or in this case, a postcard. The performers receive that, and they go off to that specific part advertised on that postcard and do the activity. It's basically the same thing. I don't hate the idea. It's not terrible. And at the end, you got this nice little frame where you see the performer with big sign over their head that shows who they are, which they kept from 2024. I don't hate this concept. I don't hate it at all. Just it kind of seems like a very singing show direction to take. You know what I mean. The whole, we're emphasizing the individual who is looking to break out and find success. Oh, goodness sake. Like, am I just highlighting the flaws of the modern approach to Eurovision now? Like, I got people who are just gonna watch me for rants and that sort of stuff, but I'm going, my goodness sake, I need to chill. I still like the contest. It's just, I can disagree with the contest. If you're a fan of something, sometimes you may have your disagreements with it. That does not mean you can't support the contest, but it just shows that you care enough about the contest to want to see it better. But let's move on to the first act by Vibe? I don't know. With the song Roa from Iceland. Okay, first off, they sent kids to the contest? Well, that would explain the Minecraft movie aesthetic. I mean, to be honest, I think it was about time that someone brought in Minecraft. Like, you saw it teased here and there in national finals, but here it is, I guess. You got all these little things floating about. But it's just kind of weird, considering I built my channel off of Minecraft in the beginning. I got into the game back in 2010. I started putting clips of it on my channel in 2011. They're not around currently because I'm trying to make myself not so much the Minecraft guy or the Steven Universe guy for that matter. Steven Universe, bad memories. This was one of the first songs I heard in my random shuffle, no context playthrough of the album. Shows what I know. I thought the language was German. I thought this was some sort of German folksy sea shanty, whatever. Nope, it's Icelandic. once again slapping Fire Saga in the face. This is just, I don't know if it's Fire Saga or it's Hattari or something else, but like Iceland is, no, I know what it is. It's the banal results we got with Hera Björk last year, and the one from before that, I forgot her name, it doesn't really matter. They decided to try something bold, and we got these kids, this electronic folksy sea shanty sort of thing, and you know, I don't hate it. Like, it's quite a refreshing taste. I don't think I'm gonna take it that seriously. I don't know how well it'll do, but like, it caught my attention. It's all sorts of weird, but it caught my attention. It's the kind of song that would make it to the grand final of Melodifestivalen. Yeah, that's a nice way of calling it a Melodifestivalen reject. But hey, it's Iceland. Whatever crumbs you can pick off the ground, you'll put there, because what else do you have going for you? In conclusion, not a bad song. Certainly memorable. Not like the next one by Poland. Justyna Stężkowska with Gaia. Which, let me tell you though, listening to the song, seeing the aesthetic, it's quite awesome. Like, you know, very fantasy, high fantasy sort of stuff. You got this dragon aesthetic. The costume admittedly looks kickin', but it's kind of hard to identify anything particularly captivating to me. It goes for this peak aesthetic, but I can't really remember much about the song, which kind of sucks, honestly. This sort of song, if thought out well enough, could really sell. It's already unique enough from being performed in the Polish language. This is a Polish language song. But yeah, I don't hate it, but I'm not necessarily rooting for it. Next up is Slovenia with their song How Much Time Do We Have Left by Clement. Oh goodness sake, this song has so much feels, and it hit me real deep. This is one of those songs that tells a story, and the story here is, you know, you got this nice little happy family sort of thing, but the husband's worried about the wife because terminal illness, but the wife is just so determined to live as much as she can, as if nothing was phasing her. I admire your power, I admire your will. And it's all about wondering if you'll have enough time before it all ends. And it kind of reminds me of Autumn Leaves in 2015. Also another North Macedonian song, the 2021 song. They kind of both feel like they took elements from those songs and put them in a Slovene song. Well, it's an English language song this time, but it hits. It hits deep. Like, is it simple meal done well sort of thing? I don't know, but you know something is powerful when it affects your audience, and I kind of worried that this kind of song may not go through, but then again, 2 out of 3 songs are gonna go through to the final from this show. I shouldn't count this out yet. Like, it seems fine, it seems workable right here. But then again, it could just be me just taking scenarios and just fleshing them out in my autistic way and breaking me down. This song was quite close to making me cry. Quite close. Not really, for reasons. 4th song up, and it's kind of weird. We got Tommy Cash from Estonia with the song Espresso Macchiato. But goodness sake, it's kind of feeling like a spaghetti western, what, with this Tommy Cash, Johnny Cash sort of thing. You got the strings in the background. You got Life is Like Spaghetti, it's hard until you make it. Excuse me, what? I don't want to reiterate what the guy said he's addicted to. And then there's the fake stage invader. Yeah, I said fake stage invader, because there's no way the Eurovision cameras would want to focus on a real stage invader. You got this groupie come in, crash the party. dance with Tommy Cash a little bit, and then get yeeted out of there. This is one of those songs that is admittedly an earworm. Even though I don't really like it that much, it's stuck in my head. Espresso macchiato, por favore. It's just contagious. No, I mean the song, YouTube. The song! I don't know where I would place this in my ranking. I hadn't necessarily ranked the songs of Semifinal 1 yet, as of the recording of this video. But I'm not entirely enthused about this song, really. It's just kind of, like, it's fun, but it's just a song that just kind of exists to spite me. Also, this is one of the songs that I would classify as Switzerland suck-ups. You have a lot of songs here that try to grab onto French or Italian, or specifically Italy, the country, for some reason, because we're in Switzerland. Even though French didn't get on the podium last year, Switzerland didn't win with a French language song. But hey, I listened to the songs from the album. As I said, there were quite a few native language songs on that list, and it's just impressive, honestly. I can't really say much more. But hey, let's close this out on a rather peculiar thought. In one of the lyrics it goes, no stresso, no need to be depresso. Depresso? Oh, you mean the character from Power World, huh? The depressed espresso character. Speaking of which, wait, is that a flag of power? Excuse me. Ice agent showed up to my house the moment I uttered those words. It's tough here. We have a little intermission where we go over a bit of Switzerland's DJ history. Then we have an automatic qualifier in the case of Spain. I will save off on the automatic qualifiers until we get to the grand final show. Otherwise, there would be very little content, he says after the last grand final episode had to be split in two for length. Song number 5's from Ukraine by Zifferblatt with the song Bird of Prey. Oh boy, though, the start of this song. I don't even know what to say about the start of the song, besides the fact that the people performing on stage are performing in outfits that are worthy of Eurovision awards. There's also, oh, I'm hit with 1980 superhero cartoon energy off of here. Like, I flashed back to a Saturday morning where I'm sitting on the rug watching television with a bowl of cereal in hand. Congratulations! I didn't expect that. But besides that, this song kinda has me worried. It's quite unique, but, you know, unique lost in a sea of unique entries makes it a lot more normal than on its own. And in this case, I don't know, it sounds they're vocally off. Even on the CD, it doesn't quite sound right to me. This entire thing definitely feels like an adventure. The problem with that is, I kind of feel Ukraine just kind of threw the contest with this one. Like, it's alright, but it just doesn't feel right of me to push that hard. I mean, Teresa and Maria had a full package number, while this one is definitely a package of sorts. I mean, it did have quite its cool moments, but yeah, I'm kind of holding off on rating this song highly. Well, at least we got Sweden next up. Oh, damn. Yeah, I don't know who's trying to throw the contest harder, Ukraine or Sweden, because Sweden, for the first time since 1998, get this, sent a song in the Swedish language. Oh my goodness sake, that's worthy of a toast right here. Like, take out your goblet and go, SKOL! But yeah, the song is Barabada Bastu by Kai, and it has a lot of sauna imagery, and also a straight out and out perkele that originally made me think that this was from Finland. This is the second time in a row that I guessed a song was coming from Finland when it was just coming from a different Nordic country. This can't be happening. I thought to myself at one point when I was doing the ranking, oh, this one sounds easy for me to put this as a Finnish language song. But I'm not going to do that because that's what they want me to do. So I'm going to do it on this other song. No. The song is kind of fun in its own way, and it's really cool to see that Sweden just finally broke the mold with... Admittedly, I would have never called a song like this, but like, it had to happen. But I just feel that this is an unserious entry as well. It's fun, it's fine, but like, it has me legitimately worried for Sweden. On an unrelated note, do you ever find it weird when Eurovision fans complain about, ooh, Sweden sends in these white bread boy performers with the slick pop entries, and then you get a Nordic country send in something that is entirely the opposite, and they say, oh, that's too woke, the broadcasters should have shut that thing down, like they had a choice in the matter when it was 100% public vote. You just can't win sometimes. But yeah, Ukraine and Sweden's little fight has taken a race to the bottom kind of turn a la Avengers Endgame. Next up, song number 7 is from Portugal, Napa, like the Napa wine fields in Northern California, like they showed in the postcard. Well, they had their own Swiss vineyards over there, but you know what I mean. With the song Deslocado. Song is quite a nice contemporary, like, smooth alternate number. And you know what? This time, I'll give respect for you. Like, I had been hard on Portugal for the last few years, especially since they won with a song that I just felt didn't really match the vibe of the contest. Like, yeah, you need to break the vibe at some point, but I just felt this was just in a different era. I thought winning at that moment would kind of damage their expectations forever. But now I'm looking back, particularly at the 2020s, and I'm going, Portugal still had some idea what's up. Like, they had some idea of what to do. And while I may not agree with their direction, I can respect the music tastes that they are polishing out. Like, good work, Portugal, I guess. And honestly, I don't mind this song. It's nice, it's smooth. If this song was translated into English, it would do well on the local alt-rock station. But enough about that. Next up is Norway with Kyle Alessandro, not Alessandra, Alessandro, with Lighter. And, okay, this is a bop, but the kind of bop I expected a Mediterranean country like Cyprus or Malta or heck even Switzerland to send in, not Norway. It's got a little bit of an armor choice that is not what I expected from something that otherwise feels like a Latin bop or just a non-Latin modern bop. Like, it's not bad. I could see this making it into the contest and placing 15th. Also, one more thing to close out, the Lithuanian artist from 2018 could only budget 1 mile. Meanwhile, you got people who walk 500 miles and then walk 500 more. No! This guy beat them all! Walked 100,000 miles! That's approximately 160,000 kilometers. That is what? The circumference of the Earth 4 times over? That is impressive. That is ungodly impressive. No one else has anything to brag about right here. Number 9, the country is Belgium. We got Red Sebastian and the song Strobe Lights, which is quite the experience. Like, modern, contemporary bop. Only from Belgium, am I right? It's kind of creepy and yet alluring at the same time with the aesthetic. And you got the artist singing in 2 voices, which would confuse anyone on the album for thinking they were listening to a duet, but not quite. But yeah, that atmosphere, that intensity of this is the final stand sort of thing really grabs my attention. But then again, this is Belgium, and the reason I say this is Belgium is usually when I like a Belgian song, it gets NQ'd. When I don't like a Belgian song, it qualifies. This is getting ridiculous, Europe. I kinda want this song through. Don't screw it up for me. Okay, we get an automatic qualifier, this time Italy, and then intermission with... Wait, is that another flag of Pal World? Yeah, we talk about props and animals this time, and then next up, we move on to Azerbaijan with Mama Gama and Run With You. And I like this one quite a bit. It does concern me though because it's Azerbaijan. For those of you who don't really know the history, Azerbaijan hit it off big early on, but their fortunes kind of changed in the mid-2010s. I won't say for what, but they had trouble holding on. And it wasn't until 2019 where they got another top 10. Nowadays, they struggle just to get into the final. And this song, I like it. It's very 80s or even 70s throwback R&B sort of stuff. It's real nice sounding, even if it feels a little too short, but you know, that's the rules of the contest. Although there is something to be said about the obligatory native instrument that the main person plays. Like, Azerbaijan needs to put in its own flourishes of native Azeri or Azerbaijani sound into every act they send to Eurovision. They did this last year, I know that much, and while I don't hate how the licks were incorporated in this song, it just kind of makes me scratch my head a little bit. It reminds me of this one challenge from one episode of Fetch with Ruff Ruffman, in which the kids tried to make a BLT ice cream, where they had to gather up a bunch of produce, one starting with the letter B, one with the L, and one with the T, and at least two of the ingredients had to be vegetables, or, you know, traditionally classified as vegetables, because one of the ingredients that the children decided on was tomato, and yet they couldn't figure out how to balance in the tomato. Ultimately, they dialed so far back on the tomato in the recipe that the host Ruff Ruffman deducted points for that. It was hilarious. We almost got a similar situation over here. We have to include some local native music in this. Otherwise, what's the point? No, the point is to send in a good song. But really, I do hope you qualify. The last thing we need is another country bowing out because of bad luck, which sucks because we're just catering to pettiness. But we're at 37. We don't need the number to go any lower. Next up, we got San Marino. I'm kind of surprised they're in the contest again after getting screwed over last year. But then again, they do cater to everyone who wants to pay their submission fee. So why not, I guess? This time we got Gabri Ponte and the song Tutto l'Italia, which is definitely a song about Italy. And also AI imagery. Because of course a country such as small as San Marino can't bother to get an actual production department behind them. They just had to... Okay, this is speculation, but doesn't it feel AI? That said, while I don't really hate the song that much, I would be really miffed if San Marino qualified for the final with this song. Like, you could qualify with a bunch of other songs, but this song? Especially after Once con Once? Really? Next up we got Albania with Shkodra Elektronika and the song Sherm, which is honestly not bad. Like, it honestly feels they brought an authentic performance from Festivali Kengis over. Like, it feels as if it never left Tirana. Like, look at the graphics on that performance. Like, it really does feel like the graphics recycled from Festivali Kengis aesthetic, just right there. And honestly, I don't really hate this song. It's quite bold, and as we noticed, the past few times Albanian language songs qualify, whereas English language songs do not. So I'm kind of rooting for it. Were it not for the fact that you had this random guy there just muttering stuff in the middle of the song, I just felt kind of confused. Like, as the bones of a really good legendary Eurovision entry right here with that aesthetic, but it just feels it's got the pacing off in all sorts of different ways. We'll see how this works out for them. Next up, we got Sneak Attack Netherlands with Not Just Klein, Despite the Rumors. We got Cloud with C'est la vie. Funny how we've evolved the phrase. We went from This Is My Life to It's My Life to C'est ma vie, and now we're at C'est la vie. Well done, everyone. This is not a bad song. It's rather nice in its own way. It's well constructed. It's not particularly zany. It's just kind of dull in its own way. Like, I don't hate it, but I just kind of feel a little lacking in this. I guess we'll see how it compares to all the other French language songs. Wait, the Dutch song is part French, part English. Alright, next up is Bosnia and Herzegovina? Excuse me, I misread that. Marko Bosniak from Croatia. Dagnabbit. But yeah, Croatia has a lot to prove after coming in second last year. And what song have they sent for us? Oh God, that is ghastly. Okay, we got a song called Poison Cake. I can't even. Even before the reveal, I knew something was off. And all that little sweetness, tasty, yummy, yummy, yummy. I was really creeped out. I was legitimately worried that this was not going to end well. And in fact, this isn't the first song that has done this to me. Like, recently, I got the Eurovision 2009 album. Yes, I know. And I listened to some of the songs without the distractions of the performance. And there was this song by Belgium called Copycat. Basically, the entire idea was you got this rockabilly upstart trying to make it big, but then you got this other person copying his style. And it drives him mad, and he murders the guy and buries him in some part of podunk nowhere. And I didn't know that. The lyrics didn't make it clear when I was listening to the performance of it, but when I was listening to the CD version of it, I was like, what the heck? This song also reminds me of the book Sunrise on the Reaping, which just came out. It's part of the Hunger Games series, essentially. It's about the 50th Hunger Games. If you don't want spoilers, go to the timestamp, and I'll try to pick it up from there as best as I can. But for those of you who have read the book and watch this, you may know what I am talking about. After all, the second quarter quell of the Hunger Games is known for quite a few things, not just the drawing of double the contestants, but also the arena, where all the food and water there is poisoned. Yeah, that's not great. Then Hamish wins the games, trying to win out of spite and screw over the system. He doesn't do it because media works their way around Hamish's shenanigans. Thanks, Plutarch. And this guy who had just won the games, who had already lost one person, had replaced by a faker who was kidnapped from District 11 and saw all his other compatriots die gruesome deaths as an example set by President Snow, and was locked in his own capital apartment for a week at a time, goes back home, sees his family's house burned to the ground with them inside, then finds the love of his life who originally encouraged him to shut down the games. They meet briefly before she takes a gumdrop that Hamish finds out all too late was poisoned, resulting in his spiral into depression and alcoholism. Yeah, listening to this song after reading that book is beyond depressing. It is excruciating. While this song is quite modern and well done on the production end, I kind of don't know if I want to root for it. I'm not really into the creepy songs. Like, I wasn't really into Die Together from 2022. It's a nice song. It's a nice package, but I feel just kind of sends the wrong message supporting a song like this. And honestly, I feel this song is there to spite me. I mean, so many of these songs I feel they're there to spite me, even though they aren't. But dang, they can't keep getting away with this. Okay. Who do we have left? Switzerland. Nope, we're skipping them. Next up is Cyprus. I won't reveal the performer of this song out of respect for the song called Shh. Basically, the plot of the song is you can't reveal my name to anyone if you know it. This is meant to be a secret, which immediately has me thinking two things. One, that sounds like dead naming in the trans community. And two, oh boy, I'm about to overthink this like Matt Rather. If Matt Rather did not make a video overthinking this song, he is doing it injustice. So alive in the sky we can fly! Like, yeah, the song could be about dead naming in the trans community. It's a perfectly rational take. But let me do you one better. Have you heard of this singing show called The Masked Singer? Basically, after Fox gave up on American Idol, they got The Masked Singer, turned it into a phenomenon, and, you know, all this sort of stuff. The main plot of The Masked Singer, oh my goodness. First off, I need to apologize. I got the plot of The Voice wrong that one time. We were supposed to get the judges to turn around and face you and acknowledge your existence. Mea culpa. That's for acknowledging Italian, you get. The plot of The Masked Singer, as I understand it, is you have a collection of celebrities who are up performing for the judges, and the judges have to guess who could be under the masks. Oh yeah, all the celebrities are in full body disguises, including the mask, and somehow the judges can't get it right because, you know, if they do get it right, that's game over. And also, we did have a Masked Singer performer in the contest before. Have you heard of Sheldon Riley? You know, I'm a friend of Sheldon. You know, friend of Sheldon as in code for being autistic. Sheldon Riley. Not to be confused with Sheldon Cooper. But yeah, he was in the Australian version, came in second, as all good artists do, like Adam Lambert. Second in American Idol in his case, not The Masked Singer. Well, one of the things done in order to keep the judges and the audience guessing as they slowly go through the reality competition one by one is to try to enforce that secrecy somewhat. You got these people apparently walking around backstage not wearing their helmets or masks because that would be kind of an inconvenience, bumbling down with limited vision and this big thing on your head. But in its place, you got a sign saying, I'm one of the performers, don't talk to me. Because if the performers talk, that's a risk that they will figure out who the performer is. And that makes a lot more sense than dead naming, because in the case of dead naming, the dead name is not the trans person's real name. It is in fact a name given to them by other people. When the person decides that name isn't good for them anymore, it's not their name. They have something else that you can use instead, and it's just kind of disrespectful referring to someone as who they're not. But here, in the case of The Masked Singer, it makes a lot more sense, because those are the performers' real names, but instead we have to call them stuff like Snapdragon or Queen of Hearts, I think was what Jewel performed back in her Masked Singer. You know, Jewel, one of the performers in American Song Contest. It's not so much a name that is forbidden because it's not their name and it brings back trauma, but it's a name that is meant to be kept a secret for the purpose of the competition. But yeah, is the plot of The Masked Singer. Check, Matt Rather. Dang, I forgot to talk about the song itself for Cyprus. It's a pretty daring kind of song. I don't really know what specifically to classify this song as. It's kind of like modern yet esoteric sort of thing. Like, it's a fine daring song. I just kind of forgot about it through all this other stuff that I just had to bring up. Sorry about that. It's still fine. It's just, I don't know how to categorize it. And next up is song number 16. Except, no song number 16. Okay. Let's move on to Hungary. They did not compete in the contest again, They still had their Adal, so I listened to their song. I'm never going to pronounce that name, but basically it's a nice, smooth, like, folksy song, but it's got this melodic feeling to it. Like, I can't hate it. I think it's rather good. If that song were to compete in Eurovision, I'd say it wouldn't have as good a chance as last year's song. Like, last year's song, even though I would say that that song would be competing against a lot of heavy hitters, I'd say it has a good shot for the top 10. In the grand final, this song, I'd say it still have a chance to make it to the final at least, you know, add a little bit to the palette. But unfortunately, Hungary won't enter for a myriad of reasons. And they really only focus on Adal for promoting local culture, however wasteful of an opportunity it may be. But hey, still keep doing Adal. So the next time you come over to Eurovision, you can swing and hit to Grand Slam. Yeah, but that's the thing. A lot of these people participating in the contest coming back because they think they can do better and then failing, a lot of that's because they kind of lost the mojo of the contest. Like, they hadn't been training their muscles. You know, Bosnia, Herzegovina, North Macedonia, Montenegro, Romania, Bulgaria. Like, a lot of effort you could have put into maintaining the muscle, because as they say, you can't store fitness. But there is a problem with Eurovision and trying to retain countries. We will talk about that later. But for now, voting is back. Except, boy. Though it is not stated explicitly, I mean, this is a family show, it is hinted that it is once again 100% public vote. Have you not learned your lesson from the past two contests? Just wait. The jury winner of this contest is just gonna run off into the sunset with no one to catch them, and I will have no pity for that decision. Just you watch. It's gonna happen just like it did the past two times. You might think, oh, this is for the good of the public. No, it's not. This is an underhanded way of giving the juries more power in the grand final, because the televoters will be spreading out their votes more because more of their favorites came in, while the juries have to pull together more votes for the few songs that did make it through to the contest. That's unfortunately how it works. And to those that say, well, just nix the jury vote altogether, Eurovision history will show you that that did not work out. It leads to questionable decisions on behalf of Eurovision broadcasters and performers, which leads to a lot of underperforming winning entries when they move on from Eurovision, which leads to an inaccurate portrayal of the Eurovision Song Contest to be this cheesy, corny, campy event that's not to be taken seriously. An image that Eurovision is just now trying to absolve itself of. I'm glad that you have so much interest in the contest, but you're not one of the casual voters in the contest. You're an informed voter. You're a lot closer to the jury than the televote. What we need is deep jury reform, and not just because juries can be corrupted. Public votes have been corrupted before. There is no immunity for either side. But yeah, I want a nice, healthy contest with a good reputation, lots of entries, and where people feel like they're contributing at least something to deciding their fates. But that's not all. We've kept the rest of the world vote, so whether you're in Texas or in Costa Rica, you can vote. I wish I could say I voted, but plot twist, I can't. I'll let you know why the next episode. But yeah, basically it doesn't matter where you live in the world, so long as you have access to the stream, EBU. Thanks for screwing America over. Well, okay. You don't need access to the stream to vote for the songs, but it really does help to see the performances. Okay, what do we have now? Well, we have the interval act for this year. We have this nice little thing between the hosts called Made in Switzerland, where they go through a lot of the stuff that the Swiss have invented for the world. And also this weird event in the 1350s in which William Tell, played by Pietra Mire, she's back! Oh my goodness sake, we can't seem to get rid of her. Where's Mons? I'm yearning for Mons now. But yeah, William Tell invented Eurovision. in 1350 or the 1350s. I thought you were going to say something about the Helvetic Confederation or something. I don't know. I'm going to have to look it up now. And I didn't know William Tell was from Switzerland. Also, we got this little snippet in the middle of this performance I want to highlight about Eurovision. Eurovision is not political. No matter if your country is good or brutal, you can enter the contest so long as you respect our customs and rules. So long as you're good or brutal. Saying the quiet part out loud, aren't we? Wait, is that another flag of power? But yeah, how did that flag get in there? That is kind of unexpected given EBU's aversion to letting that flag be anywhere near a Eurovision stage. It's become kind of a running joke. Okay, after that we get some knowledge on the carpet ceremony. I don't really care to go into that. Then we find out about the green room, which is directly opposite the stage this time rather than behind it, although it does seem like the mosh pit is kind of cramped in between the stage and the green room, but I suppose it's fine. It just seems different than what it would be were you in there, you know, perspective shift. But then after all that, we get Celine Dion. No, we do not. Okay, I kind of hoped that Celine Dion would make some sort of appearance in the contest. In fact, my original idea for the slogan of Eurovision 2025 is
Our hearts will go on.
That being a reference to one of Celine Dion's songs, while being the mood for Eurovision just hanging on there in spirit and trying to push through these dark times. But yeah, we got a cover of Celine Dion's song Ne partez pas sans moi, done by 4 former Eurovision alumni, which is kind of cool, but kind of cool in the same sense that holograms of ABBA last year were kind of cool. It was kind of disappointing. Yeah, sure. Celine Dion came in and gave us this nice little postcard saying, I wish I could be there. Eurovision has done so much for me and I would have loved to support my home country who gave me a chance. And then the same thing in French. But really, that's it? Just Ne partez pas sans moi? Especially given all this blah 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 we had for the next 10 minutes where the hosts just scamper around the green room trying to stir up time and showing us clips of, oh, this is the Junior Eurovision Song Contest, and oh, these are the acts who are competing in semifinal 2. I don't know what happened where the green room just went like that. Either this is a barbaric oversight by the Swiss producers, or a previous performance that was meant to happen went wrong, and now these hosts have to fill the void. That's not great. Like, think about it. I want to say Celine Dion is the Christopher Eccleston of Eurovision. Like, if you know Christopher Eccleston in Doctor Who, he was the guy who was a lot of people's first Doctor. When the show came out in 2005, you got this one season. He did this one season, and then he eventually moved on to other things. While future Doctors would eventually take up the limelight even after their incarnation was gone, including David Tennant, and David Tennant, well, Eccleston had just moved on. Same thing with Celine Dion. She's moved on. Like, Eurovision was a very helpful step up the ladder to success, but it wasn't her breakout hit the same way that ABBA's Waterloo was. For Celine Dion, it wasn't until we got My Heart Will Go On, you know, the Titanic song. Think about it. She did perform for the 1989 Lausanne contest when it went back to Switzerland, but, like, why is Eurovision just meant to be Eurovision? Why can't it identify all the points in which it expanded to be something greater? I mean, you had a part in the show where the hosts were talking about, oh, these songs got all these streams, and then you got Italy, and snap. Wait, where's Måneskin? Also, where's Arcade? What happened to the Global Platinum? But my point is, Eurovision leads to success. It isn't endgame. Realistically, people still have lives after the director yells cut. Which is why I came up with an idea that they could have implemented in the grand final, but, you know, they spent it all on the first semifinal. You could have had this part where all these alumni performed her previous songs, Ne partez pas sans moi. That was in my plan. But what wasn't is we cued the first hints of the song. Yes, the song that Celine Dion is known for. And then people just get their attention. Most of the stage is dark. And then we wait. There's this one silhouette that comes out. And then when the lyrics hit, the spotlight drops down. You see her. And then everyone blows into a frenzy. And then we continue on with the song. And then we get this ship looming in. Coming in close. Maybe that's a little too on the nose. Or I guess on the, damn it, what's the ship's term? I know port, I know starboard, I know stern, but I forgot the bow. There it is. That's a little on the bow, but you get it. Then we hit that climax. You know, the key change. Immediately cut to bad weather. The Titanic is sinking. You got those high notes coming in, bringing in the energy. She could even sing some of the lyrics in French. And then everything dies down. And then it's just the audience carrying the final lines of the song. Such a moment. If Eurovision could have sported it, would have been legendary. Like, forget Justin Timberlake, forget Madonna, forget Flo Rida, forget Alexa. Like, seriously. This could have been one of the big interval act moments of all time. And from a song that wasn't invented for Eurovision. It may not have beaten Riverdance, but it would be close. It would be up there with You'll Never Walk Alone. You know how many tears I cried when You'll Never Walk Alone? The number was not 0. Now, of course, if this was down to schedule or Kobe or anything like that, that's understandable. But if this is a case of the EBU is a bunch of cheapskates and they haven't figured out how to get their own affairs and stop. We're not talking about that now. But yeah, the producers did not have the ambition to make it work. They only got us the bare minimum, and that is sad. Let's just close out the final beats. We had the executive supervisor not confirming that we're good to go. Apparently this time the producers truncated the entire thing. We don't have that awkward meetup with the EBU table off to the side. Presumably because Martin Østerdal isn't particularly popular. People prefer Jan Olesen, which to me, when you think about it, is kind of recency biasy. Let me go through a bit of history. Clifford Brown's tenure, for instance, was horrific. We got a lot of weird, wonky voting moments, miscounted votes, a 4-way tie that never got broken. Then we got Frank Neff show up in the late 1970s and going through to the early 1990s. The contest was nice, it was chill, it was working itself up. It was slowly growing and it was doing well. And then Frank Neff left and everything just kind of sort of went to hell. However, that was not because of Frank Neff. Frank Neff kind of had it easy. The voting system that Frank Neff used was already put in place before he showed up. It was just a matter of making sure that the votes are well counted, the votes are verified, which was getting better to do with later on technology, and the number of performers, while still kind of unwieldy and pushing the contest to well over 3 hours at points, it was not unmanageable. There were a few tough points, particularly in the late 80s and early 90s, in which attendance had to be kept in check, but it was fine. However, the contest was about to take a turn anyway, because, keep this in mind, Frank Neff stepped down after the Mill Street qualification in Ljubljana, but before the Mill Street contest itself. We got a few extra performers come in to make things hold temporarily, but from 1994 and onward, the fall of the Iron Curtain, the dissolution of the Soviet Union, the breakup of Yugoslavia, and of course the merger of the OIRT and Intervision into the EBU and Eurovision was always going to make the admission process into the Eurovision Song Contest more than a little tricky. And Frank Neff wasn't there anymore. Instead, we got a revolving door of different scrutineers and executive supervisors to make things work through relegation, changing the relegation system, introducing the Big Four, that one-off audio-only jury pre-qualification round. It wasn't until 2003 that everyone just kind of decided, we can't keep relegating. We need to put a semifinal now. And they finally put a semifinal. And then they threw in a second semifinal. Svante Stockselius took over at some point. And then came Jan Ola Sand, who was just reaping the rewards. Like, he's very respectable. He does his job. But don't forget, his very last moment was not verifying Belarus's jury votes, which resulted in Belarusian jury giving their points to their least favorite entries instead of their most favorite entries. So yeah, Jan Ola Sand, not particularly a saint, especially when he was observing effectively a golden age of Eurovision. Like, you had all these acts come in, but at that point it was kind of nowhere to go but down. Everyone who wanted to compete had already competed, and the challenge was figuring out what to do now. Do they focus on holding together what they have and refining the system, or do they focus solely on growth? These are still tough times, and I don't hold as much contempt for Martin Österdahl as the audience does. Did he screw up? Yes, he screwed up quite a bit, but I'm willing to step back and see a bigger picture of what exactly is going on here. Like, I do get that there will be some time savings with not doing the whole good to go, but you know what, it's time I talk about it. Okay, there's the results, but I don't go into the results. I wait until the Saturday of the grand final. But Eurovision is becoming too generic. We got all this basic everything, basic slogan, basic staging, basic scheduling. We even got a basic voter verification process. It's just generic as far as the eye can see. Yeah, we got the songs, and we also got some Eurovision history in the past we look back to, but that can't just be it. Like, songs competing in the contest, that's step one. You got to make the contest worth seeing in many other ways too. Like, I feel the EBU has gotten a little too cheap, like conservative, like fiscally conservative, like focused on sustainability, which is not the worst thing, but it came at a sour cost, and that is making the contest more generic, more recyclable. You had that part where the hosts talked about how all the outfits there were 80% recyclable. I don't have a qualm with conservation, but just do something a bit more meaningful. Like, I don't really like being served this constant, like, basic generic, you know what time it is, we don't have to explain ourselves. It makes the contest meld together with each other. I mean, Switzerland has its own identity, Sweden has its own identity, Italy has its own identity, Ukraine, United Kingdom, they have their own identity. Like, lean into that. Like, you did really great with the postcards. Why don't you just, like, take that postcard energy that you currently haven't compromised and try to expand it out onto your show in some way? The contest could have leaned into, this is a historical contest that was born in Switzerland. Like the welcome home motif. These are some tough times. Eurovision is in a period of stagnation, and the last thing that Eurovision can afford to do is display that stagnation. Don't give up your soul for the sake of efficiency. Oh my god, I just realized. What a way to end on it. It's the Swiss. Their main thing is making things efficient. No wonder this contest feels so generic. Go away, I need to. Hasta la sintonía.